All right, welcome to This Explainer. We all like to think we're pretty good at spotting a lie, right? But what if the main tool we use, our own eyes, is actually the very thing that's deceiving us? There's this fascinating new study out that suggests, and get this, to find the truth, we might actually need to look away.
So, let's get personal for a second. How do you do it? You know that feeling you get when you think someone isn't being totally straight with you? What are the signs you're looking for? Just, take a second and think about your go-to method.
Okay, I'm willing to bet it's something on this list. This is the classic lie detector's toolkit, right? The stuff we've all soaked up from TV shows and movies. Shifty eyes, that nervous fidgeting, some kind of awkward body language. Maybe they're not making eye contact. We're practically trained to watch for these visual tells like a hawk.
But here's the big twist. What if looking for all those tells, all that body language, doesn't just not help? What if it actively makes you worse at spotting a lie? I know, it sounds totally backwards, but the science here is really, really compelling.
Okay, so to get why this happens, we need to talk about this one key idea, cognitive load. It sounds technical, but it's actually super simple. It's basically the total amount of mental effort you're using. Think of your brain's working memory like your computer's RAM or its processing power. You've only got so much bandwidth to work with at any one time.
So just think about everything your brain is trying to do when you're in lie detector mode. It's not just one thing, right? You're trying to listen to their story, but you're also watching their body language. You're analyzing all these little nonverbal cues, you're trying to decide if it all adds up, and you're trying to think of what you should ask next. It's like you're juggling 5 balls at once. That is a ton of stuff for your brain to handle, and it creates a really high cognitive load.
Yeah, and the researchers behind this study, they put it really simply. They said conducting an interview is mentally demanding as the interviewer carries out multiple tasks simultaneously. At the end of the day, you're just trying to do way too many things at once.
So to really put this to the test, this team over at the University of Portsmouth, they designed this brilliant critical experiment. Their big question was, what happens when you lower that cognitive load? What happens if you just take away all the visual stuff?
Okay, so here's how they set it up. They got 120 participants and split them right down the middle into 2 groups. The first group, we'll call them the high-load group, they got to interview a mock suspect the normal way. They could both see and hear them. But the second group, the low-load group, they only got the audio. They couldn't see the suspect at all. So the only difference between the two was that visual information.
All right, so before they even got to who was better at spotting lies, the researchers looked at something else that's super important. How well did each group actually perform as interviewers? Specifically, what was the quality of the questions they were asking?
And the first result was pretty incredible, actually. The low-load group, remember, they're the ones who could only listen. They asked way more questions, and they were much higher quality questions, too. It's like without the distraction of having to analyze all that body language, their brains were freed up to actually focus on the story and come up with smarter follow-ups.
Okay, so asking better questions is great, for sure. But that's not the main event, right? The real test, the big question, is who was actually better at telling the truth-tellers from the liars.
And this is where the results get, well, honestly, a little shocking. When it came to spotting the people who were telling the truth, the audio-only group got it right about 53% of the time. So, better than just flipping a coin. But the group that could see the suspect, they were only right 20% of the time. Just think about that. They had a huge bias, basically assuming innocent people were lying.
So now let's zoom out and look at the overall score. For the group that only listened, their total accuracy was 61.7%. And just so you know, in the world of lie detection research, that's actually a really solid number.
Okay, and what about the group that watched and listened? The high-load group. Their overall accuracy was just 35%. That is way, way worse than just guessing randomly. Their eyes literally worked against them. So the crucial point here is inescapable, really. The group that had less information actually made a better judgment. It just feels so backwards, doesn't it? How on earth can seeing less possibly lead to understanding more?
Well, the researchers dug into why this was happening, and what they found was fascinating. They looked at what cues actually helped people be more accurate. And the visual stuff, body language, eye contact, fidgeting, nope, zero correlation with accuracy. The cues that actually pointed to the truth were all things you hear, things like vocal cues, pauses, stuttering, those little ums and ahs, and the verbal cues, like how many details were in the story and just how plausible it sounded.
Basically, all those visual cues,
They were just distracting noise. They completely overloaded the brains of the people who were watching, and it made them miss the signals that actually mattered. It's like they were so busy looking for a lie that they totally forgot to listen for the truth.
So what are the big takeaways here? What can we learn from this? Well, first, all those classic visual cues we've been taught to trust, they're probably more of a distraction than a help. Second, having a high cognitive load, trying to do too much at once, just makes it harder for us to think clearly and ask good questions. And maybe most importantly, if you really want to get a better sense of whether someone is being truthful, the best strategy might be to stop watching so intensely and start listening more carefully. Focus on the words, the details, the logic. Does the story actually hang together?
You know, it's a really powerful lesson, and it goes way beyond just spotting lies. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In this world we live in that's just full of visual noise, what else could we understand better if we just closed our eyes for a moment and really truly listened?